Several weeks ago, Zona rocked the bass fishing world by shockingly signing off BassLive for the last time. That's right, after an incredible 20-year career, Zona has chosen to retire from BassLive. It left a lot of us wondering, what? Why? Well, this week I will try to get you those answers as Z-Train joins me.
I'm Bob Cobb from the Bassmaster. Welcome to Mercer.
Welcome one, welcome all, friends, family, freeloaders, fishing freaks, and of course my humpers. Happy hump day to all of you, and welcome into the Awkwardly Honest Fishing Podcast that goes by my last name, which is Mercer. This is the 177th edition of the Mercer Podcast, and I hope wherever you are in the world, life is treating you well. This past weekend was Labor Day, and I really enjoyed a long weekend and a few extra days with the family before the kids headed back to school. For a lot of people, a lot of parents, that's a joyous time. Maybe I'm a weirdo, but I never like it. It's never, I just like having my kids home. Now, that could have to do with the fact that I travel a lot. Maybe my wife feels different. I don't think she does. But maybe some days. I mean, there are days that I'm sure she's thankful. But good luck to all the kids going back to school. And if you are a child back in school, good luck this year. And be good. Be a decent human being. Because this is a stressful week. A lot of anxiety and a lot of kids going through a lot of stuff going back to school. So be nice. You know, if you see a kid that nobody's really talking to, go out of your way and say hello. Smile at them. It really can make a difference in their week. And, it can make the world a better place. In other news, the F word, forward-facing sonar. It has blown up again here this week. Not that it died down at all, but leagues have started to make their decisions, their rulings on how it's going to be moving forward. And the first to come out was the NPFL, where they made their announcement, which was canceled. There is no more forward-facing sonar at the NPFL in 2025. And that's their decision to make. It made some people very happy, made some people very angry. It's their decision to make. And I can see a lot of reasons that it totally is a great decision for them. So kudos to them for putting that out there. And it did get people fired up, though. But that's not all. As of today, my employer, Bassmaster, came out with their rulings. They are not canceling forward-facing sonar. They are having, I got to read it off a piece of paper. They are having technology standardization. Standardization. It's almost like judicial system. I can't say it without sounding drunk. It makes you sound drunk. They are having technology standardization. I think that standardization. I got it. Nailed it. Right in the nick of time. And what they're doing is putting some limits on things. So forward-facing sonar will still be a thing on the Bassmaster Elite Series. The restrictions are you're allowed one transducer. That transducer needs to be within 2 feet of the bow. So no more transducers hanging off of every orifice of a bass boat, which no more science projects. We're going back to one transducer. You need a maximum of 55 inches of screen. And the reason they brought that rule out was for safety. People seeing over the screen. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out if you can't see, you can't drive. And you'll always drive better when you can see. Not just in bass boats, in anything. So 55 inches of total screen in your boat. And the other rule they came out with was no more bass brakes, crappie brakes, trolling motors on your shallow water anchors. They're gone. Not allowed those anymore. So that is the technology standardization that's happening at the Bassmaster Elite Series. And just like the NPFL ruling, I am certain of one thing. A bunch of people are going to love it. A bunch of people are going to hate it. And it's not going to stop the debate. People are just going to continue to debate. But I have a dream that one day we will live in a world where people just are happy about bass fishing again. I mean, you have differences. People like to make analogies to other sports. Well, here's a few analogies to other sports. I mean, it's a big week for football lovers. The NFL's back in our life. My mighty Kansas City Chiefs are back. I'm excited about it. But in the NFL, you have 4 downs. In the Canadian Football League, you have 3 downs. But I don't ever hear somebody debating over that. Like, what? 3 downs? That is offensive. That's not football. Are you kidding me? 4 downs? Downright ridiculous. That's not football. You don't. And that being said, maybe it's happening in the chat boards. I mean, if I dig deep enough, I'll find a chat board where there are people arguing about it. But for the most part, I just don't hear that. I mean, golfers. I mean, you look at some of the finely manicured courses that we have nowadays, and, you know, it almost looks like the felt on a pool table. Well, you don't have some Scottish dudes. That's not bloody golf. Playing St. Andrews. I mean, it's a goat path. That's real golf. Maybe it exists. But I just feel like in fishing, it has gotten out of control. And I hope we all get to a point where we can say, hey, it's fishing. Because when I'm on the water, this doesn't happen. It happens in the internet. It happens face-to-face at times too. But I'm never driving down the lake and see a guy fishing across the bay from me or down a channel and be like, that's not angling. He has not embraced modern technology. Or that's not angling. He's not doing it the way I've always done it. I mean, it's just, let's get along, people. It's fishing. We all love it. Right? I think. I mean, I know I do. So that's your news on forward-facing sonar. And I wasn't even going to talk about it at all because, to be honest, for me to talk about it is ridiculous. I mean, I work for Bass. And I also am not a tournament angler anymore. The debates that I hear between tournament anglers, that's warranted. That's what they do for a living. It's no different than, I mean, I've made football analogies, so if we'll make another one, if I run into a pro football player and he says, I don't want to play on artificial turf because it's bad for my joints, it's bad for my knees, I'm not about to argue with him and say, no, you should. He knows it's his profession. Not all football players agree with him, but that football player is allowed their opinion, just like pro anglers are allowed their opinion. I have friends on both sides of this debate, and right in the middle of this debate, it makes no sense for me to give opinions and thoughts. And that's not because, I mean, it's just, come on, let's just move on. Whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. And let's get back to freaking bass fishing. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. I mean, share your opinions. Did they make the right rulings? And here's the truth. There will be people that will speak with so much conviction and they will state everything as fact. But we're not going to know till the future. Only the future knows. And we'll see how it all plays out. Now on to this week's show, because this week's show is a very special and tough show for me to make. It's a show that I never really wanted to make. MarkZona shocked everybody a few weeks ago when he announced he's retiring from BassLive. He had told me and Davey and several of us, we had found out before. I didn't know the exact moment his announcement was going to come out, so just hearing it was shocking. Was sad because Mark Zona to this sport, to bass, I don't even have words to explain what he's done. I mean, Mark Zona, for the 20 years that he has stood beside Tommy Sanders and illustrated this sport with the words that come out of his mouth, has been incredible. I mean, and when somebody leaves a job, right away, people will be like, well, who's going to replace him? Which everybody's talking about already. And let me look at this camera and tell you straight right now. Ain't nobody replacing Mark Zona. Nobody. Mark Zona's impact and his ability to engage viewers, his ability and his expertise in the sport to explain things and break it down in a way that keeps you hanging at the edge of your seat is unfathomable. And I don't know anybody that will ever do it as Mark Zona. I mean, will someone sit in that seat? Well, hell yeah. Yes. Will they be Mark Zona? Hell no. Mark Zona brought a unique charm and character, and he did it better than you would ever imagine it to be done. He took that job to a level that is just hard to imagine it not being there. Mark Zona gave so much to all of us, but selfishly, I feel like he gave a lot more to me. And before I get into that, that's the weird thing with Zona. When you see people interact with Zona at a trade show or whatever, they're like, Z, they're buddies. They may have never met, but everybody feels like Z's their buddy. Because that's the connection that he had with all of us viewers. And although I work for Bass, I am one of them. I am one of those viewers that literally sits on the edge of my seat loving what Mark Zona and Tommy Sanders have done together. And he's given me a lot in life. Not just on that screen, but as a friend, as one of my closest friends on earth. I mean, gave me this job. Well, not this job. I could talk to my computer whenever I want, but my job at Bass. Without Z, I don't ever end up there. And to be honest, I never thought I'd work at Bass without Z. Z is so much to our team. Every single one of us that get the opportunity and honor to hold a Bassmaster microphone to talk about a tournament. Z's the captain. He's the guy who really just guided our ship. So to think of Mark Zona no longer being part of Bass, it's going to take me a while to get to the point that I'm okay with that. Will BassLive be okay? Zona will be the first one to tell you, yeah, it'll be okay. But I'll be the first one to tell you it will never, ever be the same. And he knows I have thanked him every single chance I get publicly. I've thanked Mark Zona for everything he has brought to my life and given to my life. But as a fan of Bass, thank you, Z. Thank you for what you've brought to the sport. thank you for the person that you are. I don't know why I'm having a hard time with this, but I do. And about the only way I'm going to get out of it is to welcome him in right now. Z, this is 100% a podcast I'm excited about, but not friggin' excited at all. Because I'm excited for you as a friend. I love it all for you as a friend. But I also love working with you.
Yeah. Why, you're going to start like that, make me cry again like Tommy did. That was so painful, man. Actually, I'll go into how that, because I was keeping it together. I was keeping it together on that last day. Like when we tuned off of Fox, I thought I did okay. And what was funny was Mike McInnes had the weekend off. He had Saturday and Sunday off, and he drove the bus. He produced days 1 and 2 of the St. Lawrence River. But Michael Middleton, who produces Zona show, he was driving the bus Saturday and Sunday, and this is no joke. So we're getting ready to tune off for good, forever, and Mike jumped in the seat. He drove to Little Rock and jumped in, and when I heard his voice, I looked over at Tommy, and Tommy's eyes watered up, and I'm like, shit. I totally broke. And it was funny was he came out, all of JM came out into the studio, and I did a total, all right, guys, I got to use the washroom, and ran outside, jumped in the Ram, and just hightailed out of town.
Oh.
Yeah.
But how did it go? I mean, in your head, you must have had I'm going to have to make an announcement. How did the real life announcement go with what you in your head had envisioned being?
And I talked to you about this. I had no intention of announcing at all in studio. That's not, I was in my head, Karen and I would have gone live a month later, 2 months later on the Instagrams, and just thank the anglers, thank the fans and the crew. That would have been a little bit more my style. But Tommy came in the first morning, and he said, he goes, I want to thank you for 20 years sitting side by side. We're gonna announce this. And I was like, do you need to go talk to Mike McInnes just to make sure everybody's okay with it? And it was fine. Look, here's the other, a lot of people knew, because Karen made that decision, that we were going to step away about 3 weeks before the St. Lawrence River tournament. It was fine. It was, you're right. It's a bittersweet feeling. I do think about it every single morning. I wake up and have a coffee, and I love you guys, man. And I've so loved working like the coolest profession that I could ever imagine. And I really give a couple different things, and I'll probably jump all over here. I've learned a lot the last 20 years from actual production and being an analyst and a commentator to, I learned a lot about, I didn't know how hardcore Bassmaster fans are. I'm breaking a little bit right now, but during the split, I really learned it. I really learned how insane and awesome the Bassmaster fans are. I'll look back at the classics, and so many people would come to multiple classics, and that part, I'm still going to come to classic. I can misbehave a little more at classics now. But the other thing is, working in that building and representing JM and Bassmaster, dude, it was a total honor. It will always be, it'll always be a part of my life and my family's life, a big part, because basically I've worked at Bassmaster almost as long as Hunter and Jacob have been on Earth.
Yeah.
So it's a big, it's a big deal. And it was, what was funny was as much as I goofed around filling time, that was always, one of the biggest challenges. Because this is no joke, and I've talked to you about this. I remember when we used to just do 30 minutes live, the hooked up, and I remember one time Mike extended it to 20 minutes live, and I looked at Tommy. I'm like, this is such BS. This is such BS. Doing 20 minutes live. And then fast forward 15 years, we're doing, 15 hours a day live. So, but it's really, it's been full circle, dude. And I mean this. You and Tom, the entire crew, to work side by side with your best friends, the fans of bass fishing, and the anglers. Like, look, man, you know this. I butted heads. You do. It just happens because we're working side by side. You're working side by side. You're gonna bump into that. But I have so much respect for what I covered, because to win a tournament, any tournament, you have to some way, shape, or form, you have to touch perfection, right?
Yeah.
You have to touch perfection. And to do hundreds of tournaments with Tommy, I got to witness fishing perfection, and I never took that for granted. And it's funny, I really several. This is the only podcast that I've done, but I've done some interviews, and a lot of people have asked, what was the recipe? What was the recipe that worked? And this is no joke. All I did was who, why, and how. Okay, simple as could be. Who, why, and how. And then I mixed it with pop culture. I mixed it with sports connections, just because Dave, before we did this podcast, all we're talking about is the Bears. It's a big topic right now in my house. I literally kept, at least my role, I kept it, be serious when it's time to be serious, and have fun when it was time to have fun. And that, hey, some people liked it, some people didn't like it or like me, and that's fine. But I always tried to be overly prepared every day I came in the studio, out of respect to the game, out of respect to the viewer, and out of respect to Tommy. Just to, it's funny. What's funny is I've cleaned out some cabinets, and that I always carry a notebook. I always carried a notebook and took notes every single day before I'd come into Bassmaster Live. Just hundreds and hundreds and thousands of pages of notes. And I be honest with you, I don't know that I ever looked at those notes. It was more of a safety net in my mind. I don't know, it's like my whoopee, I guess, was my notebook. So whatever.
I find those notes though, because I do the same stuff, but I don't ever, leaf through them very rarely.
I know you don't.
But I think the act of making the notebook, the act of just writing it down, that's what allows you to know it. Are you the same?
Same thing. Totally. Just by going through the act of writing them down.
Yeah.
Right? It's weird to say, writing them down puts it in your brain, I guess, more than anything. But dude, it was awesome. But it was also something, because I was talking to Bass, I was talking to Chase and Mike McInnes about next year. And really, I was very open, with all you guys that this day was coming, just because I was doing a total, you do an amazing juggling act. But it was hard to balance the two worlds of Bassmaster and Zona show. And I'll be honest, what this decision, I really thought was going to happen 5 years ago, to solely concentrate on Zona World. But now this is a selfish statement. Zona World has done awesome, for lack of a better word, but I always wanted to, at some point with Zona Media, whether it's television or social digital stuff, I wanted to do more and give it the attention that I thought the viewer and the partners that have been with me for 2 decades deserved. So that's what kind of led to this.
Why now? Like, I mean, because you
I didn't know I didn't know the right time. I didn't know the right time. Karen didn't know the right time. I don't know if there was a right time. This is no joke. We had a weekend after ICAST to think about it, and Karen looked at me and said, we're done. And I said, okay. I listen to Karen every now and then. So
that's usually called a wise decision. But
right. And the other side is Karen and I have things. Look, it's been 20 years of a really, 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 really awesome career path. But I've missed a lot of stuff, dude. We all have. I am not complaining. It has been a dream. But Karen and I also, outside of the business that we run, we're at an age we could still do some stuff that we've wanted to do, haven't been able to do, and we're gonna do. So that's kind of where where it all kind of just came to a head one day, and that's when we made a life change, because that's what it is. It's a life change. You look like you're pissed at me.
No, not at all. Not pissed at all. Jealous? No, not, dude, because I knew this was coming. I just always told you, you've been telling me you're done for the last 5 years.
Yes.
But I just always thought it would be, I mean, dude, you're such a huge part of the BassLive team. And sure, everybody's made comments on social media what a big part of the broadcast you are, but you're such a bigger part of the BassLive team than what anybody at all sees ever, than a very small, little, tiny group of us that get to be part of that team. And to think of Bass without you is almost unthinkable. And not just because of your voice, it's because of what you have supplied to people like me, Davey, the entire team. You are our captain, dude, and it's going to be weird to.
I'll still be around.
I have a feeling that'll happen too. I think you underestimate just how much you're going to hate working the Bassmaster Classic and listen to other people talk about it.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. Yeah. Oh boy. It's weird. I'm totally going to transition right now. And look, the fishing world. This is not going to come as any surprise what I'm going to say. The fishing world has been. We talked about this the last podcast that we did together. Not in the best place. The last 20 months have been hostile, to say the least. And look, man, bass fishing is, I said this on the last podcast, bass fishing is the best thing on earth. On earth. To me, the only thing as cool as bass fishing is football. That's how shallow I am, right?
That's why we're
It's
friends.
true. That's why we're friends, right? We have focus and very small. So the other thing, and this is what I wanted to do with my content, is to show, and I think we've been doing that this season probably more than that fishing is I look at your stuff, Dave. Your content, fishing is fun.
Yeah.
Fishing's not an argument. Shut up. Shut up. And I don't know. There was maybe a little bit of me wanted to detach from some of those arguments that are currently in our industry. I already went through one war, 5 years ago. I don't have two in me, man. I'm just being honest. So that is going, not that it hasn't been, but my focus is, if somebody watches any, a Zona show, a Zona Unplugged, a Pro Team Journal, whatever it is, I want them to, and this is really what somebody asked me long ago, what do I want out of my show? And I remember how I replied to 12, 14 years ago. I said, I want them to watch it and go, wow, I've got to go do that.
Yeah.
That is the direction I'm going, that we're going. Yeah.
I think that's your job. I think it's all of our jobs that make a living from the industry, is to, if I had Rick Clun on last week, obviously, and Rick Clun's done a lot of things, but the most powerful thing that Rick Clun's done, in my opinion, is inspired everyone.
Yes.
And I think whether you have a TV show or not, and it's real easy to chase the arguments, because, it just gets, it's to steal a line from Tommy Sanders. He hasn't said that about this, but he used to always does say, that's low hanging fruit. And it's true. It's really easy to chase that. But I think ultimately I couldn't sleep at night if that's all that I chased. But so all the bitching drove you away. Is that what you're saying?
What's funny, and this is, I want everything to be right. I'm just, and it's a great asset, and it's also it's a liability as well, because when you care so much, it winds you out. It winds me out mentally, because I want everything in every corner of this industry to be right.
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's impossible for it. And it probably does. It twists me off a little bit, more. I probably needed to detach a little bit for let the smoke clear, and I know when I'm going, when I'm doing Zona content. That's my baby. I said that to Chase Anderson the first time I spoke to him. I said, I love Bassmasters, but my little show and our content, that is my baby, and I care about it. And again, I'm being redundant. I want to give it the time that it deserves from me. Yeah.
I hear you there. I think people underestimate the balancing act of doing everything that you're doing. Of all people on earth, I feel it, because it is. Because I think you're also, what people might not realize about you is, dude, you want, like you said, you want everything to be perfect, but you are like, to lures that anglers have used. Like, I remember in the past, I would always say things like, he said he's using this. And you would not say that. You would, you were like a freaking investigative reporter, just to make sure that you got...
I felt when it came to the integrity of, I know this is going to really shock your viewers, Dave, anglers don't tell the truth.
Come on.
I know there's things I'm letting out right now. I always thought that that the Bassmaster television show, before I worked for Bassmaster, I was an investigative reporter throughout the mid 90s to early 2000s, where I would sit there and go, no, that's not what that lure is. I know exactly what that is. I always felt that the viewer needed dead honesty, you had to be dead honest, or if it wasn't, I'll give a perfect case in point was, Justin Hamner this year, he's awesome to work with. So he wins the classic on the most popular suspending jerkbait on planet Earth. And I was watching it on camera on day 2, and I out of respect to him, I said, Justin, we don't lie. We'll never lie. But this is the biggest tournament on planet Earth. How do we handle it appropriately, not only for him but for the viewers as well? And he was like, hey, do what you got to do, which I really gave him a big amount of respect for that, because it makes our job easier. Now, on the other side of that spectrum, for 20 years, I've had many anglers say, hey, you know what I'm using, but can we just call it this? And I'm like, hell no. Absolutely never will we do that. And that's if there's one thing I really do care about, because it's a hard part of that, is whoever sits in that seat a year from now, 5 years from, Davey knows the recipe that I went through, and he does the exact same thing. You got to keep the integrity of the game when it comes to the tackle. You got to keep that either dead honest or just vague, but never lying. And I hope whoever sits in that chair lives by that, because the viewer deserves that.
Do you think that has gotten better with live?
Yeah, it's gotten better with live. I mean, you got anglers that try to hide all their crap, and you know who they are. I mean, it's almost hilarious. They catch a bass and instantly turn their back to the camera. I mean, yeah, tricky. It's definitely gotten better. But if you let it get out of control, it will get out of control. It will get out of control. Yeah.
The anglers, they're in a weird position, because I hear more of it. Like, do you think, I mean, and this is such a random area to go, but it's something I've heard recently from anglers where they're pushing back and they're like, BassLive's showing too much. They're showing our exact location. Do you think that is imperative for the broadcast?
I'm not a big location giving away guy. I've sat in many meetings, and I've always been anti-maps, but I get it. That's not my department, but I do think that anglers' areas should be more vague than, dead spot on. That's just my opinion. And that's just to, look, we go to public playing fields where somebody can run out on the 18th green. And that's just more to protect what they have learned. So that could be worked on, I think, a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dave?
I agree with you. I mean, I think that I just don't think that adding an exact location adds that much to the broadcast.
I agree with that.
Like, to me, it adds for one person. Yep. And that's that one person who wants to sit and figure out exactly where they're fishing and go do that. And that can be recreational anglers, that can be tournament anglers, that can be future Elite Series anglers.
There are pirates out there on all levels. That's how they do it with Zona show. That's why I totally give fake names of bodies of water that I'm on.
Was Tommy the toughest person to tell?
Tommy and Mike, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Dude, I've said this. I I've been married to Tommy, and I visit my wife Karen. I mean, I've been married to Tommy Sanders for 20 years. He is what's weird about this is before I worked with Tommy, I would, back in the VHS cassette days, um, I would tape old FLW tournaments. And then when Tommy transitioned from FLW to Bassmaster, I would tape these tournaments. And I'm not kidding, Dave. I would replay them so many times. Tommy Sanders. I would burn the tapes out. And I had no idea that I was probably in one way, shape, or form training myself for what my career path was going to be with that guy. And, you know, Such asked me, he said, what were your three most favorite memories of Bassmaster? And one was the very first time I walked in that studio and stood next to him. I was in awe, and then I realized Tommy's the biggest jackal of all of us. He just does it more intelligently than all of us. But we've had so much. It's so hard to explain what I'm going to say to you right now. Is any sort of studio work, television, or not even take television aside, is chemistry. It's just chemistry and communication. You're a master of it. You're a master of it, Dave. But to have that connection with another human being and this is so strange what I'm going to tell you right now. My wife is the only person I've met that is as easy for me to communicate with as I have been with Tommy. Like it's strange because there's a lot of people that I have awkward pauses, which I love that. I love that. But as far as a flow, like I would know the end of his sentences and he would know the ends of mine just by tone. And the other thing that Tommy, and I still struggle with this, hence this podcast, is know when to stop talking. Like know when to actually, he would phrase it. I can't phrase it because he would use a swear word. Just know when it's time to shut up. He taught me that.
You guys, and you've heard me say this, I believe I would love to hear you two do Monday Night Football. I'd love to hear you two do literally, I think you and Tommy could do anything, like really. And I think fishing is lucky to have had you guys as a team. Who did you look up to? Like, who were broadcasters in other sports that you looked at and said, I'm assuming when you first start the job, there is part of that. That's part of the process. Like, you take things that you like to listen to yourself and try to bring it to the sport.
Oh, I know Tommy really, really likes Al Michaels.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about it. I think, I know Tommy likes Jim Nantz. I mean, he does the best Jim Nantz impersonation ever whenever we have a tournament on Masters Week, where I make him do it just because it eloquently puts me in a better mood. I like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. I like them a lot. I think their chemistry together is really, really good. And you could see when they're not together, it's a different chemistry. I would probably put them, those two at the top, just how well I think they work together. Yeah.
Chemistry is everything in that role, correct?
Everything. It's everything. It's everything. And the other thing, and I've really learned this, I talked to McInnes about this, is just having a genuine passion for sports.
Yeah.
Sports in general. That's a key deal in that seat. Like if they get somebody for that chair, that person needs to have a really, really solid background of sports to make that flow good. And generally everybody that is in that building at JM Associates, we're all sports heads. That's all we do is talk about that stuff. So I think that's a very critical thing. Yeah.
I had to get some pictures for somebody the other day, and so it made me look back through a bunch of stuff, and it was a lot of stuff that we have done together over the years. But I came across a picture that I thought was so telling, because it was literally the night before BassLive was a thing. Me, you, and Tommy are
Terrified.
standing at the live desk, and I
So
remember
scared.
we were posing for this picture. And I remember you whispering, like, you going, "This is never going to work. We're so screwed." I mean,
totally. I was terrified. Because I have lived in a world when this started. So let's go, 8 years ago, I lived in the world where we just you could mess up and you did post-it shows and re-rack it. Let's do it again. And I have strange things up there that I was genuinely terrified would come out of there. Like, terrified. Yeah, sometimes it did come out, Dave. So right. That was, and here's what what I've learned with doing Bassmaster Live was every mic is hot.
Yeah.
Every mic is right. You know what was funny was one of the most challenging times doing Bassmaster Live was during the pandemic. For obvious reasons, everybody was on pins and needles across the country. And at the time as well, you could offend somebody for giving them a wrong look.
Yeah.
And that was one time in my career where I actually talked slower to make sure nothing bad was going to come out of my mouth. The problem is if I get talking really fast, that's when something can slip out. During the pandemic, I was way more calculated in my delivery, which was good because we had to fill a lot of hours and because we were the only sport.
Yeah, not only was it live, but it's live for 8 hours on ESPN. It changed in a hurry. What is the one thing that slipped out of your mouth that you're still shocked you got away with?
I compared two different things. This is so jacked up. I compared a spotted bass to my ex-girlfriend. Totally hot, batshit crazy. Totally hot, batshit crazy. That slipped. There was another one where I compared a smallmouth to a kid that has ADD, generally just twitchy, not focused, and a mom of a kid that had ADD. Look, I had ADD. We all of us have ADD, and she wrote ESPN a really, really, really long letter that I insulted her and her son. So there you go.
Well,
there you go.
It was meant with kindness. It was not meant to. People get very insulted with words lately.
Yeah. I remember the one viewer that sent a letter to either Bass or ESPN about me and you. And I think his exact words were, "We needed to be bathed in holy water."
Gosh, I wish I was so prepared. I have that note somewhere. I literally have that saved in my notes where every once in a while I go back and read it. It was the greatest. He did not like us. He was not a fan of us.
Not. So let me give you one along those lines. So I respect all the compliments. I also do respect some of the hate mail we got. There was one that was sent to me, and you know me well. You know me very well, Dave. And they actually included the person's phone number, and I called him.
How did the call go?
Cold. It was a cold call. But it ended with, "Mr. Zona, I think maybe someday we should have a beer together." I said, "I can tell you that will never, ever happen." Never happen.
You and Tommy went through a lot of the crazy stuff in the sport too. The big ESPN boom. I kind of came in as that had just ended.
Yeah.
But tell me some of the crazy things that ESPN producers had. I mean, we're not naming names or anything, but they asked you to do some. Like every producer that comes from another sport comes into fishing, and it amazes me because the first thing that they think is, here's an idea. Let's do something that has nothing to do with fishing.
Yes.
Did you experience any of those?
Yeah, a lot. One of them came in once. This is no joke, and he said, "I think what we need to do with the Bassmaster Classic is give 5 exemptions a year to celebrity fishermen." And he's like, "How great would this be? You and Sanders are up there, and all right, let's get on the water right now and take a look. There's Kevin Van Dam, the leader. Whoa, Deion Sanders is coming in the cove right now." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's a really bad idea. That's a bad idea." And what the other thing was, there was a few of them that one in particular that would always give Tommy a hard time. Like, how can you give Tommy a hard time? Like, he's like, "I need better bumps to break, Tommy. Can you just try that this week?" And I would like to certainly. And what was interesting is I was always very protective of Tommy. Like, I had his back and he had mine. Well, this one producer one time, and he comes out and he's got his readers on, and it was a major. I'll never forget this. It was a major, and he comes out, and we're at commercial break doing something, and he goes, "Tommy," and he slams his fist down just like that Kelly coach from LSU the other night when they lost to USC. Just slams it, and he goes, "Stick and ball, moving the chains. Can you try that?" And he turns around. What does he even mean, dude? So he walks away. So we come back from commercial break, Dave, and I remember the angler. And Tommy said, "Well, we're going to get on the water right now with your leader, Dave Wolak." It was on Lake Wiley. We get on with Dave Wolak right now, and I slam my fist down, and I yell at him. I said, "Tommy, stick and ball, moving the chains." And I watch the production door trailer, wham! And he comes out and he's like, "Why would you insult me in front of my whole team?" Dave, I said stick and ball moving the chains like 38 times from that point on to the end of the show. Just kept saying it. So yeah, that was some of the crazy.
I think that's one of the things that people way underestimate, just how many words you say that just become a thing that literally is entertaining to nobody on earth, but
Nobody.
The people in the trailer and everybody in the studio. I mean, we think it's pure hilarity, and a lot of people just don't even know what's going on.
Yes, and inventing words and making each other. I do that to you all the time, Dave. I text you words that they're not in the English dictionary, yet you deliver them flawlessly, like it is a word. So keep doing those things. In full circle, man. I really, really mean this. It was an honor that I took very serious. And dude, I did. I gave it all I had. In many ways, off camera as well. I really, I think I gave it the respect that it deserved, doing it. And that's, look, that show's going to go on and be awesome and be the Bassmasters, and to be a little part of that history, means so much.
I think you're more than a little part, dude. And I know you're going to say that, but you're a very big part of the history of bass. Will this make the Hall of Fame later this month that much more emotional?
I don't know. The last time I was at the Hall of Fame was when the departure happened. It was pretty awkward that night. No. I think I got a lot of it. I believe this. that the Hall of Fame night is for my wife and my kids. That they're the it is about them and it is for them to me. Without them, I would never be in that room. That would be the most probably the most emotional. If I could just get through that, it'll be all good. But you know what's funny is, and it's so weird. Like since the last day that I left studio, I didn't, Dave. I had no idea. Like the just the messages from friends, from viewers to people I never thought I would hear from again, has been extra humbling. It's been eye opening. Where maybe we did make a little bit of a difference in the way that tournaments were covered and viewed. Yeah, consumed. Yeah.
You definitely did. If you were able to give advice to whoever sits in that chair in the future, what would it be?
Be yourself. Be yourself. And it's either going to work or it's not. And that's,
Yeah.
Mike Golick, that's a total unnecessary name drop, but he gave me some advice 17 years ago. And I think I gave you this advice when you were the MC. He said, if you can get to the ratio where 50% of people can actually listen to you, and then 50% of people absolutely hate your guts, it's a winning ratio that you could go a long way in this. And I'm like, really? 1 out of 2 people are going to hate me? He's like, probably. Right. But his advice was, be you, because it's either going to work or it's not. And that's one thing that I give McInnes a hell of amount of credit for. Mike always let me be me. There were things that I would say in that studio that Jerry would walk through and he's like, no, he cannot say that. And Mike would go, yes, he can. Leave him alone. And that's the biggest, that to me, be in that seat. Don't try to be something you're not. I cannot do Tommy's role.
No.
Right? There is no way on earth I could do I couldn't do 2% of what you do. Know your role, stay in your lane, and talk about what you know about. To me, that's the magic sauce.
100% agree. No, and I think that's also what makes it, like, I mean, I think one of the greatest teams as far as broadcasting, I mean, I think our team's a great team, but one of the greatest teams is a team that's about to be broken up. But the NBA panel on TNT with Barkley but they all add something different, and they know that position, yes, and they don't try to run over the other one. Like, you know what I mean? And when they do, it's playful and it's in a good joke.
Way. Yes,
yeah.
Yes. And here's the other thing, man. It's a hard gig. It's a hard, if it was only 1 hour, it's easy, man. 2 hours, easy to do that. And especially look, the world we live in now, and I've talked to you about this off the air, forward-facing sonar tournaments were the number one biggest challenge I've ever had in my career calling a tournament. They're just hard. They're hard because of the lack of diversity. Okay. Do I think it's interesting? Yes, to an extent. But to get into 8 hours of zero diversity across the board, it's just very hard to cover. It's very hard to cover. Is it the reason I left? No. I've had so many people want me to give them a reason I left. Like, was there a situation there? No. One day, my business partner, Karen, and I looked at each other and said, let's give our business 100% of our attention. There isn't like a, I've had so many people like, give me the real reason.
But really,
I don't, look, I can nitpick BS and come up with, well, I don't like this or this, right? It's not the situation. I left in a good mood. Like I left there high-fiving everybody. I got there's nothing in me that's like jaded, you know? And when they ask me, like, I'll start in my head, like looking for something. I'm like, there isn't anything. Nothing.
But you also have to realize, like, they're doing the same thing right now to Rick Clunn, who is 78 years old. What? But
Right.
why are you leaving now?
Why?
What is the real truth?
Really?
I mean,
dude,
he's 78. He's got to leave at some point. I mean, he's fished for 50 seasons.
Right.
I find it amazing that he's like, I'm not done. I'm going to fish the opens. Like, Rick Clunn clearly has a sickness.
It's amazing. I don't, you know, and you asked it earlier. You said, you know, why now? I don't know. Why not 5 years ago? Why not 5 years from now? I don't know. But that also, you know, that another word that for whoever sits in that seat, you know, Davey has it, you have it, Tommy has it, Ronnie has it. Sue is just, man, have that passion that this is the best sport on earth. Have that. Because if you don't, the fans of this, they will see it in you. They will see it. They'll sniff it out. And they'll sniff it out, and you won't make it. You will not make it.
Is that every sport, or is it specific to fishing? Yeah, I think it is. We just think it's this because this is what we do. But I mean, somebody who didn't play football can't just jump on Monday Night Football. You know what I mean? Like you need to have that connection.
You got to have fire, man. You got to be in that seat and just love watching it.
Yeah,
love watching it. You know what I mean? Like you could tell, man. The best commentators, they love what they're seeing. They love it. You know, viewers don't know this, but during commercial breaks, I would ask them to replay certain fish catches. Just let me watch it over and over and over again. That comes across. That comes across calling a tournament. It comes across shooting a fishing show. You either have that or you don't. Yeah.
Was this an elaborate plan from the beginning for you and Kevin to retire within this 12 months of each other?
We've talked. Before he left for MLF, we did talk about that. We absolutely talked about that. That we were going to roll out the same time. We were going to do that. It got kind of jacked up a little bit, the master plan.
It's a little fly in the ointment.
A little bit. You know, and what's funny is when he, you know, wrapped up his tournament career, I remember that morning. I remember being alone and I cried. Yeah.
What do you think the beginning of next season will feel like for you?
Strange. It'll be strange. I mean, I'll still be texting all you goofballs, you know, throughout a tournament and telling you suck or something like that. It'll probably hit me. You know what's funny though, Dave, is, and I talked to you when I left the studio almost a month ago now, is I got in my truck and I was just quiet for like 4 hours, and I was at a piece that I haven't felt in a long time, because I knew I gave it everything I had. I knew I gave it everything I had, and that weird piece, you know, I called Karen and talked to her, is when I knew I also made the right decision. Yeah.
Unlike other sports where people walk away, I mean, an athletic sport is simple. Like, you're not quite as fast as you once were. The athlete realizes it before anybody needs to tell them. They know that they're a
Yep.
step slower. You're stepping away from something via choice. Is there any fear in you from making that step?
Just general, sure. Whenever you make that's a catastrophic life change.
Yeah.
That's been in my life for 20 years. You do a whoa, what if Zona show goes away? And it could, and I'll adapt and I'll adjust. You can't do this without, I mean, you're not a normal human being if you don't say, well, sure, it's scary doing that. I will come back and beg my ass off for my job back if that happens.
Oh, I can see it right now. You're going to Jay Leno this whole thing. Some dude's going to end up in that. Sorry, I want my show back.
Hey, after the smoke clears, down the line, would I absolutely still want to do something with Bassmaster? Absolutely, man. It's not like I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. Like, I would absolutely want you. I have nothing but love for that organization. It's just, as far as commentating live tournaments, I want to move on. I want to move on from that. Could I see me doing something a year from now that will be still connected in some way, shape, or form to Bassmasters and the Elite Series? Hell yes. Do I know what that is right now? No. Like, I've had so many people that are like, so what are you doing? Besides Zona show stuff. I don't know. I don't have this written out plan right now. There are some opportunities that I'm definitely looking at. But I want to focus on where I know my passion right now is at, and that is, dude, when I go in my boat with my crew, that's what I want to do right now.
People ask me this question, and I kind of hate it because I don't have a good answer, but it doesn't mean I can't ask you that question. Do you have a single moment, a single call that stands out in your head as like, that was the best, the peak,
Of my own call?
An event you called, and a moment in fishing that you illustrated with your mouth?
It's strange, but we all try to be unbiased. It's very hard because we're friends with a lot of the anglers. When I look back now, there were tournaments with Aaron that I was so close with Aaron. I didn't even know this. Aaron was on Zona show more than any other guest, which it honestly blew me away, because I would have thought Hackney, or I'd have thought Kevin or something like that. There were tournaments with Aaron that I was like, wow. But it was more him. It wasn't the one that I was in awe of was the first morning of Bassmaster Live,
Yeah.
and seeing the first live fish catch, because we were all silent. Tommy, Kevin, and me on the set, and all of us were like, wow, we just saw a live fish catch. That's one that definitely I'll never forget that. I'll never ever forget that moment in bass fishing history. Yeah.
That was a special morning, because I put that as one of my moments that, like, I remember driving back from takeoff, and I had Carrie Barrett, Bassmaster videographer, with me, and we're going back, and we've got it streaming on our phone, driving back to the arena to join you guys. And I remember us both like turning to each other. Well, it worked. And we were all texting like, holy crap. And then I remember even just the way you guys were commentating on it, it was like such an aha moment. Like, I think it was you or Kevin, but one of you said, boy, you can see everything, like how he shakes it. And it was that moment where we realized like, this just totally changed
everything. It did.
Yeah.
And you what and Tommy taught me a lot of this because we're learning a lot of it on the fly. Know when to shut up. Know when to give a moment the respect it deserved for that angler, and then know when it's time to jump in and commentate. Wow, this was a big moment right here. It took a long while to learn that, and it also, and I'll always say this, and I butt heads with McInnes on this. It's okay not talking. It's okay, like to let things. I'm big. I love like the first mornings of the Classic to hear the silence, because you don't need to create nerves. The nerves are there. And there is a nervous silence the first morning of the Classics that I love. Don't say a word. Shut up. Let this moment build itself. Those are things that, to me, it just took a long time to learn.
Yeah, there's times where there's no words that you can speak that'll speak louder than the silence of the moment.
Yes.
Like I get where you're coming from. Some of my favorite moments on stage are literally those. You would think it would be when I'm screaming. No, my favorite moment. Like I think of like when Ott won and his daughter's up there, and like there's a moment when Jordan Lee won his first Classic. There was a moment where I stood back on stage and just pointed to them and like, don't say nothing, because everybody. Right. That's a family jumping up and down in joy. Like it's such.
You don't need to create anything.
No, just focus on what's happening right there.
A dude catching the 10-pounder does not need a lot of commentary.
Does it shock you how quick, when you look at how many years Live's been around? I mean, we went from literally not seeing anything, like we're seeing highlights at the end of a thing, to now there's more coverage of live bass fishing than there ever has been in the history of mankind. And not just at Bassett, everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's already got to the point where people are like, well, why doesn't everyone have a camera? This is ridiculous. We should be able to see everybody at all times. I should only be able to...
100 cameras. That doesn't cost much, right? It costs a lot of money.
Do you think Live's taken anything from the sport?
I think Live's taken. I think it makes your job very hard. I've always thought that. I hate to say it. What's funny is and you know this, I used to never watch weigh-ins. You know that. For the last really 2 or 3 years, I watch almost every single weigh-in. And you for the most part, the majority of our tournaments, people know who won before the weigh-in. That makes your job so exponentially harder, but it does take it takes away a little bit of the whoa, I can't believe that dude just won. It does, but we still have, we had some great end of the season tournaments where all of us were surprised who won the event. That just happened at St. Lawrence River. When Corey won, I didn't think Corey was going to win.
No,
had no idea. But no, not in general. Here's one thing that I think Bassmaster Live really has done is, in live coverage in general of fishing, is if you cannot watch, and I know a lot of folks that watch a lot of hours of Bassmaster Live, if you cannot learn from that, maybe you should go bowling. Like maybe it's not for you. One thing that I think it's really done is fishing has had, had always been almost a trial and error. Go out and learn, read, consume some stuff, go out and do it again, do it again, do it again. It's light years now for high school kids and college kids to watch that and go, got it. I'm going out to do that right now, and be masterful at it in a very short amount of time compared to years of learning it. The consumption of techniques now are light years what they were. They're
Yeah.
light years. Yep.
Yeah, there's no secrets. Nobody has secrets
No.
for very long. And I mean, BassLive, the internet, YouTube, everybody points at forward-facing sonar, but I use this prime example all the time in conversations where I'm like, when I first started working for Bass, I didn't know what a shad spawn really was. I had heard about it, but
But when you see
don't
it
have 'em.
and connect it, right?
That's right. But, so it took me years to see it connected and stuff. But right now, literally, you could take a person that does not know anything about it, tell them to spend 45 minutes to an hour on the internet, write some notes, and that person can literally give you a seminar an hour from then on what a shad spawn is, when it happens, what you should look for, what you should do.
Yeah.
I mean, the learning curve is it's lightning fast.
And has Bassmaster Live taken something away? I think it's taken a lot of secrets away. I really do. I love it because I like to consume that stuff, but it does take instantly what's going on now compared to look, and anglers were back in where it was just print reporting. They could paint any BS story they wanted and not give their juice away. That's why, what's funny is I've gone on to become one of the hardest anglers for me to cover when I started was Denny Brower. Very hard. We would, and Denny was exiting as mass content was elevating.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's almost like when Denny was exiting is when we were ramping up just more on water, not quite live, but not far from live. And we would lock horns because I wanted to give the viewer that dude's juice. I wanted not his spots, but how he catches them, stuff like that. And we would get in very, very, and he's a very intimidating human being as it is. But we go at it. And what's funny is when he retired, it's so bizarre. We have become very, very close friends. And I think there's a mutual respect now where he knows I was not trying to hurt him, but I was trying to give the viewer what they were thinking of. I want to know what that dude's doing. I think that's why Edwin and I really struggled with each other.
Did you? Sorry.
There was personality differences, but I was always, when we would go to Grand Lake, when we would go to Kentucky Lake, my job was to interrogate Edwin. It was where the viewer could get what they wanted. And now that I look back on that, we would butt heads, and I would stay on them, those anglers, I would stay on them to get the juice that we could pass on to the viewer. And in doing that, you're going to have collisions. And Edwin and I had collisions, man. I did not get a message from Edwin after I departed.
Oh boy. I'm sure you'll get it. I'm sure it's coming. It will happen.
Yep.
Was that the hardest part of your job? Is that the part you won't miss the most?
Like I won't miss that at all. No, because it got personal. It got personal because selfishly, I would say you are not giving me any respect whatsoever to give to the viewers of this. And the other side is I get it. You got guys that are trying, like I look back on that now and I'm like, I probably should have handled this a different way but dude, 99.9% of the anglers I covered were so awesome. Guys like Jason Christie, he'll come right out and say it. Somebody can do it better. Show me. Like Hackney's that way. Kevin was that way. Skeet. They're so confident, not paranoid. Where I would run into issues with anglers was paranoia. That, man, maybe he's telling another angler what I'm throwing, that I'm dipping the tail chartreuse. I don't care. I've told you this, Dave, since day one. I do not care who wins tournaments. Could care less. But the biggest thing to me is that 99.9% of the anglers knew I was a vault for them. Whatever you want to tell me that I could use, cool. And if you don't want me to use something, I could see it with my eyeballs. If you don't want me to use something, tell me. I will not use it. Moving on. And 99% of the anglers were so awesome that they knew I was honest, and I would protect them with my life if they told me, hey, don't say this till Sunday. And it would never cross that line.
I always find it humorous because I mean, you obviously keep all the stuff to yourself as much as you can for all of their secrets and things you see in this sport. But one of the things that blew me, I remember running around doing bass cams at an event, and when they were a thing, and I had an angler who caught a really good fish on bass cam, which was so rare. I mean, the fact that we're actually there, and the cell phone can actually see, you're not just a speck in the distance, Right. So we got a good fish catch, and I'm all excited to upload this to BassLive at the time. And the angler stops fishing and comes over, and he's like, hey, you took a video of that, right? Yeah. And I said, yeah, I'm about to upload it. They're going to love it. It's great. Yeah. And he's like, no, you can't. And I'm like, why? Right. I said, you can't tell the area. And he's like, no, I just don't want them to see what I'm doing. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I won't upload it because that's what he asked of me. Well, the dude was throwing a white swim jig. And in that particular tournament, there was no less than 70% of the anglers throwing a white swim jig. But a lot of times, he in his head has to feel like he's the only one doing that to get the advantage, I think.
I know. I had one legendary angler on Lake Amistad. I used to go collect at the end of the tournaments. So we would wrap the tournament up. I would collect the top 5 anglers' baits, and we go back to studio. And this was first place, second place, third place. And the angler would he took like 4th or 5th, whatever it was, and would not give me his bait. Would not give it to me. David was a Senko.
Wait a second.
Anyway.
So, in the future, we're going to see lots of Zona through Zona's world. New things?
A lot. I take for granted that everybody gets to. You do too. Everybody watches my show on the Outdoor Channel or my Outdoor TV. There are a lot of humans that only consume social digital content. So what I'm going to try to do is level out that there are basically fill as many different buckets outside of regular network Zona show, where I have a lot of young kids that say, oh, I watch your YouTube channel. And I'm like, maybe I ought to put some more stuff on YouTube.
Seems like it's a thing.
Yeah. So I would say, basically fill all the buckets with new, just original stuff. You know this, Dave. We've taped together. I do. I still love harsh, big water. I still love finding a hidden gem, 1,000-acre largemouth lake. Those things are out there. They're out there, and you know this. They're so epically hard to find, but I'll find them.
Well, you got the time to do it now, and you son of a bitch.
I love you. It's so great. It's so awesome.
It's
Yeah.
BassLive will never be the same without you, dude. And
Thank you.
I am not saying that means BassLive won't be great. It will be great, but it'll never be the same without you. You have left an indelible mark on this sport. You've on that team, on everybody, and I think the good news is it's funny because when your announcement went out, me and Davey were in total shock because neither of us, you explained earlier, Tommy was the one who said he wanted to say something, and that's why it came out. But so I knew it was coming out. Davey knew it was coming out. We did not know the day it was coming out. So we're literally getting ready for live. And Davey's like, "Did you just see this?" And I turned on my phone and we both were kind of in shock. And I thought initially, my initial reaction was, well, why now? Why did he make this? But then I realized that, dude, I would have felt that way with you at any point. You're that important a part of the team that, I mean, if you had said, "Hey, I'm going to do it 5 more years," in 5 years, I'd be like, "Well, why now? Why would you?" I know, but I think that's a compliment. You know what I mean? Like you.
Thank you.
You have given so much to this sport, and I can't wait to watch your next chapters. And thank you for everything you've given.
There's fish biting a sexy frog somewhere, Dave, and those are the things I really enjoy looking for right now in my lifetime, and that is what I will go look for. I mean this. Thank you, dude. You have been a hell of a supporter of. We have awesome conversations after events, and I know we'll still do that. But I mean this. This has been so fun. It's been so incredibly fun. Yeah. Awesome. I almost broke, but I didn't. I reined it back in. I reeled it back in.
You're good. You're good.
And hey, the other side is, Mike McKinnon said, "Oh, we'll bring you up. We'll bring you on the set." I don't need to worry about what I say anymore. I say anything I want now.
You keep saying that, but I don't know what time that you've worried. Have you really worried that much? I mean, dude, if you're really worried, like,
Oh, I did. Yeah, I worried. I just thoughts go in and out, just best they go out. So yeah, but I worried lots.
So this year at the Classic, what are you planning on doing there? Hanging out? You and Jimmy Houston?
No.
Why? He works at Bass Pro Shops, and you work at. They do a lot of stuff.
And I do mean this. What's funny is, Classics are, for what we have done. Classics a hard week, man. It is for you. I mean, but it's a 3:30 a.m. wake up, and you're going till 10 o'clock at night. But along the lines of what I said of Zona World, hey man, my partners of Zona World, whether it's Bass Pro or Strike King or Troca, anyway, you told me not to ever name. I'm gonna at Hall of Fame. I'm still gonna name every sponsor I got.
Please
slowly.
do.
Right?
Please do.
But those companies stuck with me, gambled on me, when they knew I could only give them 50% of a season. You know what I'm saying? Or I could only give them, and I owe those companies my time. I owe them my time, and they will now get my time. I texted one of them last night. I said, "My time is now your time at the Classic," and they deserve that. They deserve that. Yep.
Well, I look forward to seeing what you do with them. I want to finish off with a little fun segment here, if we can.
All right.
We'll play the name game. I'm just going to throw names out at you, and you can give me one word. You can give me one paragraph. You can give me whatever you want on them. Rick Clunn.
Amazing. Just My gosh, that's all I got. Like, dude just defied every odd of sports. Amazing.
Seth Feider.
Little bro. Real.
Kevin Van Dam.
Best.
Tommy Sanders.
Better than the best.
Greg Hackney.
The funniest human being on planet Earth, that I am so lucky he does not live closer to me. I'll leave it right there.
It would cause problems, I imagine.
It would cause problems.
Aaron Martins.
Way too soon.
I think Aaron was so special. He's one of the only people I know. You know, sadly, when people pass, when people will regale great stories and comments about them. But I think Aaron was so special to everybody. I think people knew he was special. You know what I mean? Like, weirdly enough, like, people realized he was that special of a person before anything happened.
Aaron, I said this in the last show that I shot with him. Aaron made me a better person. You know, sometimes you look in the mirror and it's not quite right. Aaron did that. Aaron, gosh, it's that last show that we shot. We spent a lot of time alone off camera, and those are probably the things that we said. Damn it, dude! I miss that guy. Yeah.
Well, this is a horrible ending to a show, Zona. I thought this was going to be fun. I mean, I didn't write down names, and then I went the Aaron card and.
No, hey man, it's good. I still text all the time with Leslie, all the time. And Aaron, listen, Aaron is a lot. How I started this podcast today, like Bassmaster. Aaron will always be a huge part of my life. Huge part of my life. He was always so kind to me, and then anybody that was around him. Anybody, I look up to that. Yeah.
Well, I look up to you, dude. I mean, Aaron, amazing man that we all were lucky to be friends with. But you're one of those too. I mean, you've given a lot to our sport. You've given a lot to me personally. I feel like, weirdly enough, I'm going to see you more now. Like, as stupid as that is, I feel like the opportunity for us to talk and hang out will be more than it was in the past.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. What's really strange, you know this, when you do Zona show and then you do Bassmaster, I hide in my cave. Until it's time to come out and re-rack it and run it back. Let's do it again. And Karen knew that, you know, I would go in a shell and I would hide until I really, you know, however more innings I have in this industry, I want to enjoy it a little bit more. I want to enjoy it. Like, really enjoy it. And again, like, it's funny. I just had no idea. I did, but I didn't. The passion of the viewers of all of it is it leaves me humbled. Humbled is the best word for it. Yeah. But yeah, I'll be around.
Well, thank you for being the person you are. Thank you What?
Could I ask you a favor?
Yeah.
Could you get me some of those live well passes for the Classic? Because I was sick of everybody asking me for.
I got you. I don't have all your people though. I mean, you're a lot of people you got to give them to, but I got you. There'll always be a spot for you.
That's so awesome.
I'm gonna convince Bass that you need to come on the stage at the Classic to be honored. Come on, they want to see you up there.
I'd be dripping sweat. I'd be like the kid. I'd be like the kid in the classroom Van Halen video, the Hopper teachers, just dripping sweat and just run. I'll totally run. I'll totally run. That's awesome. Dave, you're the best. This is. I appreciate this. I have been kind of purposely a little bit quiet the last few weeks, just decompressing and letting the smoke clear, but there's a lot of work to be done. I'm ready to do it. Yep.
Giddy up. There is only one Mark Zona, and I love him.
Love you, bud.
Love you too. Thank you very much, Mark Zona, for everything. Not just this show, but literally for everything. And thank you guys for tuning in. This is the part of the show where I ask you to like, comment, subscribe, stroke the algorithm, leave a review, do all things to make us socially cool. And here's an idea. In the comments this week, give me a thank you, Z. Give me a word, a story, something that Zona did on BassLive that made an impact on you. And there's a lot of them. Have a great week. Enjoy being. And as always, Bob Cobb, take it away.
Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, because Bob Cobb of the Bassmasters told you to. You hear?